Everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. Today we are reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 1. Here we do a quick therapeutic review, and I utilize internal family systems. That is the treatment modality that I utilize in my practice, and it helps to give us some insight in regards to what is motivating each person as they are going through this very brave thing of getting married to a stranger on national television. So we get to learn a little bit about them and a little bit about us as we lean into our curiosity and really come from a place of wondering what's happening internally for each person as they're getting married, and what's happening internally as they're interacting with each other. So let's get into it. First, we have Shaquille and Kirsten. Kirsten is described as Miss Great Expectations, and Shaquille is described as the devout workaholic. Both of these descriptions really do fit Kirsten and Shaquille, and it also leans to what may be some barriers in the relationship, as Kirsten seems to have really, really high expectations of herself and others, and Shaquille has prioritized his career, and he's moved a lot, and that has put his relationships on the back burner. So as Kirsten is describing herself and letting her family know that she's getting married at first sight, she's saying that she's a very picky person, picky about her food, picky about her clothes, picky about everything. And I said, oh no, why are we doing this? Married at first sight is a very, this is a very risky situation. You don't have much say about what the experts pick for you. You just tell them what you would like. And then some of the things that she was very picky about, they can't really dictate. One of the things is the size of her spouse's member. The experts can't really ask that question. At least I hope they don't. And so this is going to be a potential issue and a barrier in their relationship. It also seems that Kirsten maybe wants a male version of herself. And while she was telling her family, they were actually very welcoming of the idea. Her mother was very, very excited of her taking this step for her to get someone who she felt was worthy of her daughter. And I'm hoping that this happens for Kirsten and Shaquille. Shaquille, when he was letting his friends know that he was getting married at first sight, they were very caught off guard and highly, highly surprised. Shaquille let us know that he is definitely a person who is very focused on his career. He works in higher education. He had a focus on academics because he had a car accident when he was around 7 years old, and because of his injuries, I'm assuming because of his injuries, his doctor said that he should not do sports, and so he focused more on academics. And he is getting his PhD. He's working in higher ed. He moves a lot, and he has tended to lean to long distance relationships. That always puts me in a question mark of that's something to get curious about. I know that he said he works a lot and he moves a lot, and that's one of the reasons why, but I'm also curious if there are some other reasons why the relationships were always long distance. I remember Jasmina and Michael. All of her relationships were very long distance, and she had a hard time letting people in. I'm curious if he's going to really be open to letting people in. He seems to be a very warm and welcoming person, and so he's mentoring young men, and he has close friends in Nashville, even though he's not originally from there. So he seems to be a person that is open to friendships and connections that way. But I'm curious about romantically with love. That's a higher risk. That's a higher vulnerability if he's able to let someone in that way. He said that he's frustrated. He's frustrated with dating, and he's hoping that marriage will fix that. And I know dating is frustrating. It absolutely is frustrating, and especially now. And at the same time, marriage in itself doesn't fix that dating is frustrating. It's something to get curious about, even for him. why dating is frustrating for him, but marriage to the right person can definitely help. And maybe he's hoping, he has high expectations as well of this, that this person is his person. He feels like God ordained this, that this is why God brought him to Nashville to meet his wife. And both of them are very spiritual and religious individuals. So that's a place where they are compatible. So that's a great start. Even though Kirsten is picky, as she stated, she was able to find a wedding dress very, very easily. Shaquille, on the other hand, he was the one who kind of struggled a little bit, said he would wear and try on as 20 suits as he needed to. I'm curious about how many suits he tried on. I know they kind of cut down the episode this time around, which I appreciate. So we don't know how long the journey took, right, to find their dress or their suit to really get another look into their personality. But we do see that Shaquille, when it comes to like the bachelor party, he was very kind of reserved. He was hoping for maybe some physical intimacy, as they always have a conversation about physical intimacy every season. I don't feel any way about that. Sarcasm, of course. But he's on a way of just like, okay, I'm hoping that maybe it could happen, but really I just want to be respectful and really get to know my wife, and there's no rush. While Kirsten seems to have a higher drive in that area, in that physical department. Even at the bachelorette party, you saw that she was really engaging a lot with the stripper. So I'm a little curious about compatibility with them, their personalities. I'm wondering if there's going to be a clash. And I'm concerned about, too, attraction. Not that either of them are not attractive, just with Kirsten's picky nature. I am concerned about if he doesn't fit what her box is, because I feel like she has a very specific look of what she wants her husband to look like. And I don't think that he's going to fit that look. Like, there's a very specific look that she has in her mind, and she thinks that she has communicated that to the experts. But I don't think that Shaquille is going to meet that expectation. And then also the compatibility with their personalities. I think that's also going to be a potential clash. But we do also see, as they're getting prepared for the wedding day, that Shaquille is really taking this in. He is he's nervous. He's nervous about meeting her for the first time. Is this going to work out? Is this going to be my forever person? And there was a very touching moment with his grandmother before the wedding, and we learned at the after party that she did pass. And so it was beautiful for them to have that moment, as he stated that the production actually asked his grandmother to connect with him versus like his mother. And so that caught him off guard, and that was like a big surprise for him. And so I think that was just beautiful for him to have that moment, and for that to be something that he can have as a memory and cherish. We do learn for Kirsten that her father is can be a bit of a strong mind, and said he did not want to come to the wedding because he did not want to get tested. And I know there's a lot of strong beliefs around that. And so I would definitely imagine that Kirsten is definitely feeling some hurt and disappointment about that, as her mom was running late and her phone, there were some issues with her phone, but she finally made it. But she did also disclose with her friends as she's talking that she doesn't like men who are bald. Like, I don't know if I really want a bald-headed husband, and that if I kiss him on the cheek, then that really means like I'm not feeling it. And we saw a little glimpse at the end of the episode that she did kiss him on the cheek. So as I suspected, I think that there's going to be some attraction and compatibility issues, and I'm curious if they're going to be able to work through them. I don't feel like these are going to be huge things, but I do feel like these are going to be some bumps that are going to definitely be turbulent, as they're beginning to get to know each other, for sure. Dominique and McKinley. Dominique is described as an old soul, as she's 25 years old, which is pretty young, but she said, I was raised by my mother. She's a single mother, and so I've had to really learn to be independent, and so she's an old soul. And we'll get to that a little bit in a minute. McKinley is described as an introverted dreamer, as he had siblings and they went the traditional route of getting master's degrees and being very successful professionally. He dropped out of college and started a cannabis company and has lived life more of a non-traditional way, but really pushing for what he believes in for his life. Dominique lets her friends know that she is getting married at first sight, and they are very territorial about this girls' night out. And like, we need our time, and if we don't have our time, then we're going to let him know that we need our time. And it's something that Dominique continues to talk about throughout the episode. Like, this isn't just one conversation. This is a concern for her. And so I really feel, one, that there's a part of Dominique that has not been able to have a lot of fun and have like these childlike experiences on top of her being just 25. Like, she's just 25 years old, and that's really young to be getting married, especially in this time, right? Maybe decades before, getting married younger was more understandable, but now, and how people are taking education more seriously, and so they're getting married later, and it seems like she still is kind of enjoying that field. And when people are described as an old soul, that usually is what's happening, is that they've had to become an adult before they were ready. And so her mother being a single parent, there may have been times where she had to do a lot of the like household chores or cooking or things like that at a very young age because she was helping her mom, right? So she had to maybe even take on like a parental role. And it seems like her and her mother have more of a partnership than a mother-daughter relationship. As she talked about, her mother and her have lots and lots of communication all through the day, lunch break, after work. And so her mother also is the reason why she's getting married at first sight, as her mother signed her up. And so that is also giving me a little pause to get curious about if this is something that Dominique really wants, or if this is something that she's doing out of influence of her mother. She stated that she just really wants a lifelong cuddle buddy. And that sounds really great. It does. And at the same time, a husband, we know, is much more than a cuddle buddy, and marriage is going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be maybe setting some boundaries with mom, setting some boundaries with the girls. I don't know if Dominique has some experience in that, as she seems to maybe test the boundaries a little bit, and even we see this at the bachelorette party, as she is spending a lot of time with the entertainment, and to the point where the other brides are concerned, like, what's happening, Dominique? Just don't do it. Don't give him your number, right? And so something for Dominique to really sit with as she's probably watching this, like, okay, did I really want to do this for me, or did I do this for my mother? What areas in my life do I need to maybe set some healthy boundaries? Not rigid ones, like where like I'm shutting people out, but just healthy boundaries where I can say, I need some time to get to know me, or mom, maybe I hear that you want me to get married, but I'm still like want to have fun with my friends. I still want to do this. And this is giving me great concern as we hear and get to know McKinley. He lived in Flint, Michigan, and he's moved to Nashville to start this business. He's living with a family friend. That's also giving me a little pause, as he doesn't have stable housing. And so she's young. She feels probably more established, and he doesn't have a home. So that may be causing a little unbalance there. And he's had an issue where he was in a relationship and living with this woman, and she got engaged to someone else during their relationship. After that relationship ended, he said he moved to California and then came back to refocus. But he also said that this was the first time he even talked about this. So that means, or that tells me, that he hasn't really done work to heal from this. So I'm curious if he's going to have part of him that's going to be reluctant to trust her, or part of him that may be really hypervigilant about, if she's going to these girls' night out, if it's just the girls, or if it's more. And with her not really being ready for marriage, and him having this history of people not being loyal to him in relationships, it seems like the perfect disaster for both of them to really be disappointed. And specifically McKinley. So those are my big concerns for Dominic and McKinley. We do see that in the clips that there may be some really big issues, as we see her walking out and crying, and Pastor Cal having some really heavy conversations with them. But I do have some really big concerns and really feel like the experts did not set these two up for success, as I don't feel like Dominic was ready for this, and I don't feel as though McKinley has really worked through the hurt of his past relationship. Next, we have Nicole and Chris. Nicole is described as serving the sass, and Chris is described as Mr. Nice Guy. And so we get to learn a little bit about Nicole first. She's from New York, and she has a big Italian family. She's half Italian, half Jewish. She has had a go of it in the New York dating scene. It was not successful at all, so she moved to Nashville hoping that things would get better. But when she did, the pandemic happened. And then also when she got out there, she realized this dating scene still isn't working for me. So she decided to go to Married at First Sight. As she stated, this was a last-ditch effort. Like, this is the last attempt to get married. As she has everything, but she does not have the husband and kids that she wants. So we learned that her parents divorced later in her life, and she is a very devoted dog mom. She's very devoted and dog mom to the point where she is performing little plays with his dog toys, and she is very committed to him. I'm curious about how Chris is going to receive that. She's a bit quirky, and everyone has their quirks. I'm curious about how he's going to receive that. It reminds me of Miguel with the Dungeons and Dragons last season. So we'll see how Chris responds to that. She also stated that I have the dog, I just need the husband. And I'm curious if this is a check mark box situation where I have my life and how I want it, just insert husband, right? And if she's going to be flexible with adjusting her life to meet Chris, right? Or if she's just going to expect Chris to insert himself in her life, doesn't need to adjust, right? So very much kind of reminding me of Stasha a little bit in that area, where just expecting the husband to just kind of fit in my world that I've created for myself, instead of molding and being flexible with your husband. Chris tells his friend that he's getting married at first sight, and he's like, I'm a hopeless romantic, and he is truly just a very genuine, sweet guy. You can see it even how he's talking, his mannerisms, and how he really doesn't like the saying that nice guys finish last, because he really, truly doesn't want to be anything else. He doesn't want to make himself be a meaner person. He just wants someone to accept him and give of themselves as he's giving of himself. He did say that he tends to be selfless and give more and put others before himself. He stated that his parents got divorced when he was very young. And this doesn't always happen, but I have seen a lot where children who are very, very young, like I'm talking like preschool or early elementary age, feel like they have to play this peacemaker role in order to keep their parents, right, from fighting or causing issues. So they take care of them by diminishing their needs and putting their parents' needs before their own needs. And so I'm curious if that's what has been Chris's experience. And if so, if it is, it will definitely play a role in his relationship. And I'm also concerned about their two personalities, with Nicole's personality being very strong and Chris being very timid and mild. I'm hoping that Nicole will have sensitivity to where Chris is, so that she isn't walking over him and he's not able to set boundaries, right? And he's not able to, because he wants to keep the peace, right? He wants to keep her happy instead of really truly considering his feelings as well. That's a part of it. That's a part of this marriage thing. Sometimes people do want their spouse to read their mind, to know what they want and they need, because they have a part of them that anticipates other people's needs. But nobody is a mind reader. And so that may be a potential issue between Nicole and Chris. What does feel right is that both of them are ready for this, right? Ready for this. Chris is very devoted. At the bachelor party, he was talking about, how he has really even made a conscious effort, even in dating, to really be setting some boundaries, thinking about the people he's dating and their feelings, and even his wife to be, and really honoring the process. And that he's deleted apps, and the guys gave him a little flack about that, but he's deleting apps. He's not someone who's taking physical intimacy as a light thing. Like he's really trying to be focused on the process. And I do feel like Nicole is there as well. Nicole is serious about marriage. The only question I have is if she's going to be able to compromise. She did, when she was meeting the girls, she talked about how she wants her husband to be able to shut her down when she's talking too much, because she does talk a lot. The great thing is that she's aware of it. That's the start. And so hopefully that Chris will be able to use his voice to do that. I don't know if he'll feel comfortable doing that. I don't get that sense from him, but we'll see. He may definitely surprise us, but I see that may be kind of the issue in the area of growth for them. I don't feel like this is going to be a huge issue, but I do feel like this may be something that, if it doesn't get fixed long term, will become a big issue. Next, we have Airris and Jasmine. Airris is described as reformed and ready for love, and Jasmine is described as a queen without a king. I loved both of their families. And for Airris, his family was very honest and direct. When he told them that he was getting married at first sight, their first response was laughter. And then his cousin said, "You get married? You haven't even had a committed relationship. You haven't lived with someone. You don't even know what it takes to be in a relationship or make some relationship work. How are you going to get married to a stranger?" And that is a great question for him to sit with. He said he feels like this could be the cosmic shift to make this relationship, or make him work in a relationship. We know there is no cosmic shift. There has to be an intentional change that takes work to really make a relationship work. And he also stated that, he has a history of ghosting. And he was ghosted at 28 years old, and he was hurt really bad. And he said for the last decade, he's just been out here because he had his walls up, because that really hurt him. And I hear him, that can be, it can hurt. And at the same time, it can also be a teachable moment too, for him to take some inventory about, I've been doing this to these women. I've been doing this to them, and this is how this feels. And that could be a moment for him to say, man, I really need to do something different. But instead what happened is he he said the male ego is very fragile, as if it's almost like he's saying that women can handle it, but men, we can't handle it. And so because of that, I protected myself. And it seems like there was no moment inside where he had some internal process about how this behavior impacts other people, because he experienced the same thing, and so now I must make a change. Like that didn't happen. So that's telling. That's telling. And also his cousin's directness is very telling as well, that maybe he's not ready for this. Also, we learn when he's meeting the other gentleman that he was physically intimate with someone 2 weeks ago. Like the night before he found out he was going to get married at first sight. He knew he was going through this process. I understand that, yes, he's single. He's single before he's married. I hear everyone like probably typing that in the comments. And at the same time, he knew he was going through this process. And if you are reformed, this could be a great time to give your wife some evidence that is happening. But I don't see evidence yet that that's happening. Like hoping that he could be a Woody, right? Where his family was like, I can't believe that you're getting married at first sight. But no, it doesn't seem like he has done the work. That even Pastor Cal said that he had did some work, and I said, I don't see it. I don't see it. He also stated that unfortunately his father was murdered in 1994, and so he hasn't really seen what a family or a marriage looks like. He described it as a fairy tale, and then stated too that one woman that he dated, he saw how her father was kind of like a Superman, and he's like, wow, that's how that can really look, and I really want a family for myself. And using language like fairy tale and Superman, that kind of gives me an indication that this is coming from a childlike space where like, I wanted this family, and I want to know what being a dad feels like, or having a dad feels like, and oh my goodness, that could be such a wonderful thing, and it's coming from a really young place inside of him. There's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes our inner child does want things that it didn't have, right? And at the same time, our inner child has really, really high expectations about what that could be. It's very childlike. It's very black and white. And we know in reality what marriage and what fatherhood is. It's a lot. It is a lot. And I don't see that Aries has the skills and the tools to get there. We'll see if he's ready. Jasmine is a pageant queen. She's won many pageants, and she's a cheerleading coach. She is ready. She's ready for this. And her supportive family, I talked about it earlier. They are so supportive. They have these cousin nights, they make you want to be a part of their family. It's so warm, and very real. Like her cousin didn't care that there were cameras there. Like, I don't want to play Never Have I Ever. I want to do karaoke. That's what we came here for. And at the same time, when she announced I'm getting married at first sight, there was an eruption of just like excitement for her. And her aunt, who she thought would be a bit concerned about it, she was so excited for this experience for her because of the men that she's dated in the past and how they've treated her, that she was hoping that this could be this opportunity where something can be different for Jasmine. As Jasmine stated, that she stays in relationships and for a long time, 4 or 5 years, that's a long time, and not getting the commitment. So that's something for her to get curious about what's making her stay so long in relationships that she knows or really knows isn't going anywhere. Maybe there's a part of her that's hoping that she can maybe change or influence it to get better, which is also then making me have pause and concern about her in Aries, as he's not ready, from what we see as of today in this episode. And if Jasmine does have this part of her that's hoping for things to get better, if she's going to hope that he's going to evolve, it'll be a place where he would have to step up, right? Step up or strike out if he's going to really step up to the plate to be what Jasmine needs, because it seems like she is really ready. She's really ready. She talked about, too, that her biological clock is ticking. She wants children. Every time she thinks about that, she gets a dog. I think she said she had like 4 or 5 dogs. I'm curious about how Eris is going to feel about that many dogs, and also about the biological clock ticking as well. Like, he talked himself into marriage, but he talked himself into marriage with a woman who wants children very soon, or, because of her age, needs to have children very soon. Something I think that's going to be a huge whirlwind for Eris, and he's going to be a bit caught off guard by that. Next, we have Gina and Clint. Gina is described as spontaneous, styling, and slaying. And Clint is described as seeking his first mate, as he is a captain. He sails and he's a pilot. He's very adventurous. He kind of flies by the seat of his pants, it sounds like. He seems to be an entrepreneur, I think, or believe, but I don't know exactly what his job is exactly. So that I'm a bit curious about, and I don't recall them saying what he did professionally. Let me know if you remember that, but I don't remember them saying that. While Gina is very business minded, she has her own salon. She's opening her own brick and mortar salon, and she has put in a lot of work in herself with her being an entrepreneur. And that has caused some issues in her relationship. Her last relationship, she said that was her first time really falling in love. And it was around 2 years, I believe. And the gentleman left because he wasn't happy. She was working 2 jobs at the time, and she wasn't able to really, give all the energy to this relationship. And it seems like that's kind of where she still is, as she's about to open this huge brick and mortar facility, and she's getting married at first sight. And her mom even stated, like, are you going to have time? Are you going to have time to do this? And she said, I'm going to make time. And that's great that she has at least the desire to do that. I'm curious about the part of her that is really business minded, if that part is going to be okay with her prioritizing this relationship and this marriage. She also stated that she has been told that she is intimidating because she is a business owner. I'm also curious about her demeanor. She seems to be reserved, but she also has some adventurous and fun parts of her as well. So I haven't got really like an accurate read about like how she interacts in a relationship, or especially when it comes to like compromise and getting to know someone, if she's going to be like warm and kind of carefree. She said that she doesn't like to take life too seriously. So we'll see how that meshes with Clint. As Clint says, he is a professional life liver. He travels. He said he lives. He embraces the crazy. He embraces the hard, and he just jumps in. And so that kind of seems how they kind of mesh a little bit, because he's adventurous. She likes to travel. He likes to travel. So that's a great thing. She's 35 and he's 40. So their ages are a bit similar. He did say that he was in a relationship for 4 years and he lived with someone, but they didn't really commit to, like, it didn't move forward. That's a bit concerning, because it also sounds like too that Clint is still, pretty active in the dating scene. He also was physically intimate with someone 2 weeks before getting married. And so I'm curious about how Gina's going to receive that. And also if Clint is really ready for commitment, really ready for marriage. It seems like he's really ready for life and adventure and doing things that are impulsive and give you lots of rush, right? Gives you like excitement. He's really excited and ready for that. But is he ready for like the everyday life, or does he get bored? And does he want to move on to something else? That's kind of my concern for for Clint during this process. Also, even with his friends, like 2 of them were like, woo, like, you're getting married at first sight. That's awesome. And the other 2 were like, marriage period is pretty ridiculous. So I don't know how he feels about marriage, if he really wants the everyday life of marriage, as it really seems for all of the couples really want the glow of marriage. They want the coming home at night to someone, cuddling, waking up to someone. They want that. And that's beautiful. Who doesn't want that? I'm also curious if they want the work, like want to do the work of the marriage that's going to create the glow of the marriage. Because you can't get the glow without the work. And so I'm hoping that Clint is ready to do the work. I'm hoping that Gina's ready to do the work when putting work, making boundaries with work, and also that Clint's going to be able to be available, like be available for Gina. So we shall see. Let me know what you think, what you feel about these couples as we are just getting to meet them. What are your concerns? What are some red flags you're seeing? What are some green flags you're seeing? Because there are some promising factors for some of these couples. I don't see any of them that are like, oh, this is going to work. Like, I know this is going to be a great couple. I don't see any couples like that this season. So that's kind of making me a little discouraged. Some of these matches I feel are just kind of already setting up these couples for failure. So we shall see. Let me know your thoughts. And if you are still watching, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered.